The movie kicks off in the magical land of Ounce, a place where the weird is totally normal. Here, animals can talk, and some even have fancy jobs like teaching at colleges. But things have gone downhill. Humans and animals no longer get along. The worst of it started when the Wicked Witch of the West decided to go full villain mode and wreak havoc. Luckily, her reign of terror ended in the most anticlimactic way possible. A young girl chucked a bucket of water at her. Puff! Wicked Witch no more. Enter Glinda the Good, the wizard's cheerful assistant, who pops into Ounce to spread some good news. The story also takes us back to the witch's not-so-happy beginnings. Turns out, her dad was the governor of Munchkinland, basically OZ's small-town mayor, and her mom. Well, let's just say she wasn't exactly loyal. Thanks to mom's extracurricular activities, Elphaba, the future Wicked Witch, was born. From day one, Elphaba didn't catch a break. She was green, literally. Her dad took one look at her and said, "Yeah, not my problem," leaving her in the care of a nanny named Dulcebea, who was nicer than she had to be. Later, Elphaba's little sister Nessarose was born, and Dad gave all his love to her instead. Talk about sibling rivalry fuel. Elphaba wasn't just green, she also had a temper that could make magic explode. Fast forward to Glinda's college days at the elite Shiz University. What kind of name is that, where Glinda's dream of becoming the world's greatest sorceress begins? Back in college, Glinda, then still called Galinda because she thought adding an extra A was classy, was the queen bee. She was shocked when she met Elphaba, aka Green Girl, and wasted no time roasting her for her unique complexion. Need help with the green problem? She teased, flashing a fake smile. The crowd loved it, but Elphaba wasn't having it. She clapped back with, "Unless you're a dermatologist, sit down." Boom! The crowd was shook. Just as the drama heated up, Elphaba's dad showed up with Nessarose in tow. Dad gave Nessarose their late mom's shoes as a goodbye gift. Poor Elphaba just stood there, wishing he'd show her even a sliver of affection. Nope. Not today, not ever. Instead, Dad gave Elphaba an unrequested job, babysitting her sister until she settled in at college. Elphaba argued, "Dad, I have my own plans." But he wasn't hearing it. Off to Shiz she went, muttering under her breath about how she didn't sign up for this. The stage is set, and the faculty parade begins. First up is a goat, yes, a literal goat, who happens to be a genius history professor named Dr. Dillamond. Next, Madame Morrible, the Dean of Sorcery Studies, struts in with all the flair of someone who knows they run the place. Galinda, ever the overachiever, rushes to Morrible, dropping hints that she personally wrote her a letter to get into her seminar. Madame Morrible, in her best "I'm too important for this" tone, informs Galinda that she only takes special students. Ouch! Galinda's confidence takes a nosedive, but she rallies, determined to prove she's seminar-worthy. Meanwhile, Elphaba is hanging out with her sister, Nessarose, when Miss Kydal, a faculty member, stops by for a chat. But the moment she spots Elphaba, aka the walking green anomaly, Miss Keedle's face does a complete 180. She hurriedly rolls Nessarose away like Elphaba might sneeze radioactive glitter. Furious, Elphaba's unpredictable magic flares up, causing chaos on campus. Chairs fly, walls tremble, and Nessarose ends up right back where she started. Everyone stares at Elphaba like she's OZ's next supervillain, everyone except Madame Morrible, who looks thrilled. "Relax, everyone," Morrible announces. "That was just a demonstration to teach you about unexpected magic. A+ improvisation." The crowd claps nervously and disperses. Before Elphaba can process what just happened, Morrible pulls her aside and assigns her to share a room with Galinda, much to both of their dismay. Elphaba begrudgingly agrees, but Morrible's eyes gleam with ambition. She sees Elphaba as her next star pupil. Later, Elphaba confides in Morrible about her chaotic powers. Morrible assures her that with some training, she could become an ally to the Wizard of Ounce himself. Elphaba, who's been fangirling over the wizard since she could crawl, is ecstatic. She imagines a future where people respect her, not for her green skin, but for her talent. a future where her sister beams with pride and her dad might finally crack a smile in her direction. But reality comes crashing down when Elphaba walks into Galinda's posh dorm room. The two pick up their campus rivalry where they left off. Galinda even tries to butter up Elphaba, asking her to put in a good word with Morrible. Elphaba, not buying the act for a second, flat out refuses. From then on, the two are locked in an epic contest of who can annoy the other more. Amid their feud, Professor Dillamond gives a grim lecture. He explains that animals are losing their right to speak and are being fired from their jobs due to a massive drought. Even Galinda stops plotting for a moment to listen. Just a moment, though, because in ounce, drama is never far behind. Things are tense in Professor Dillamond's class. The animals are being blamed for everyone's problems, as if they secretly control the weather or something. Galinda, never one to miss a moment to sound wise, chirps, "Let's focus on the future, not the past." But the professor is having none of it. "The past holds the keys to the present," he retorts, clearly done with her optimism. The mood takes a nosedive when he notices someone has scribbled on the board, "Animals should be seen, not heard." Ouch! Dillamond looks heartbroken and dismisses the class, leaving everyone squirming in awkward silence. Elphaba, however, stays behind. She comforts the professor with surprising kindness, proving she has a soft side under all that green sass. Later, in the dean's office, she's practicing levitating a coin but can't quite manage it. Madame Morrible, always scheming, casually mentions the cruel graffiti in Dillamond's class, knowing it'll light a fire in Elphaba. It works like a charm. Fueled by anger, Elphaba's powers kick in, and the coin not only levitates, it smashes through a window. Talk about leveling up. Morrible is thrilled and assures Elphaba that her meeting with the Wizard of Ounce is getting closer. That night, Elphaba, still worried about Dillamond, follows him home. There, she stumbles upon a secret gathering of animals venting their grief over how humans are locking them up like criminals. Dillamond notices her lurking and invites her inside, but the other animals scatter like she's about to call animal control. Elphaba, ever the idealist, insists they should take their grievances straight to the wizard. But Dillamond firmly shuts her down. "Nope. Don't even think about it," he warns, clearly fearing the consequences. On her way back to campus, Elphaba has an unexpected run-in, literally, with a man named Fiero, who's so handsome it's almost offensive. He's the prince of Winky Country, but Elphaba isn't impressed. In fact, she finds his shallow, carefree attitude about life pretty annoying. Meanwhile, the rest of the university loses its collective mind over his arrival. Naturally, Galinda, OZ's queen of clout chasing, makes it her mission to charm the prince. And, surprise, it works. Fiero and Galinda hit it off, bonding over, well, nothing deep. Galinda takes him on a tour of the library, where he learns she's never been to Osterstalung, the infamous party spot known for its wild shenanigans and questionable legality. Fiero, clearly proud of his bad boy credentials, brags about getting expelled from his last college for hanging out there. Then, with all the subtlety of a tornado, he invites Galinda and a few classmates to join him. Meanwhile, Bock, a love-struck student with a crush on Galinda, works up the nerve to ask her to dance at the party. But Galinda, never one to mix romance with personal ambition, gently redirects him toward Nessa Rose. To everyone's surprise, Nessa Rose accepts, practically floating with joy. When she tells Elphaba, "A boy asked me to dance," Galinda made it happen. Elphaba is genuinely shocked. Did Galinda just do something kind? As the party prep begins, Elphaba's arrival causes Galinda's friends to scatter like spooked pigeons. But then, in a surprising twist, Galinda invites Elphaba to join them. She even hands over a pointy hat, calling it a family heirloom. Whether it's a genuine gesture or subtle sabotage remains unclear, but Elphaba, against all odds, decides to go. The party is in full swing, with students dancing, laughing, and generally causing the kind of chaos that makes campus life memorable. Suddenly, Madame Morrible crashes the festivities, not to shut them down, but to drop a bombshell. She hands Galinda a magic wand and announces that she'll personally tutor her in sorcery. The crowd oohs and ahs, but the real kicker? Morble reveals that Elphaba herself requested this honor for Galinda. Galinda is floored. Right on cue, Elphaba shows up at the party, wearing an outfit that screams, "I don't care about your dress code." The room erupts in snickers and whispers, but Elphaba, ever the queen of confidence, starts dancing with unapologetic gusto. Her moves are wild, awkward, and oddly mesmerizing. Galinda, feeling a pang of guilt, or maybe inspiration, joins in, hyping Elphaba up. Soon, the entire room is following their lead. For the first time, Elphaba feels like she belongs. She smiles through tears and hugs Galinda in gratitude. As the night winds down, Galinda shares her dream of marrying Fiyero, the prince. Then, she asks Elphaba to share her deepest secret. After a moment's hesitation, Elphaba drops a truth bomb: her sister's disability is indirectly her fault. She explains how their father forced their mother to drink milk flowers daily to ensure Nessarose wouldn't be born green like her. The potion caused a premature birth, leading to Nessarose's condition and the loss of their mother. Galinda, showing a rare moment of compassion, insists it's not Elphaba's fault. To lighten the mood, she suggests a makeover, convincing Elphaba she's beautiful as she is. The next morning, Elphaba, dressed to impress with Galinda's help, heads to class. But things take a grim turn when Professor Dillamond announces it's his last day. Animals are officially banned from teaching. Before he can explain, men storm in and haul him away. The entire class is stunned, but Elphaba is seething with rage. The new history teacher struts in like nothing happened and unveils a lion cub in a cage, explaining that all animals will soon be silenced, with cages preventing them from communicating. Elphaba's fury boils over. With a burst of magic, she topples the teacher's vase of flowers, sending the class, and Galinda, into an enchanted sleep. Only Fiyero remains awake, because apparently, he's immune to magic-induced naps. The two team up to free the lion cub, sneaking it into the forest. In the quiet woods, they share a tender moment. But Elphaba, always the realist, knows a prince like Fiyero could never love someone like her. She silently resigns herself to the fact that he'll always choose someone like Galinda. The next day, Elphaba receives a letter from the Wizard of Ounce himself, inviting her to the Emerald City. She's over the moon. Galinda, however, is heartbroken at the thought of saying goodbye. Elphaba assures her that she'll be fine, and besides, she has Fiyero. But Galinda lets slip that Fiyero hasn't been himself since the Dillamond incident. Galinda, blissfully unaware, misreads his intensity as guilt over Dillamond. In a bid to impress him, she announces she's changing her name from Galinda to Glinda, a nickname Professor Dillamond used for her. The prince's expression says it all: this is going to get complicated. As the train gets ready to leave, Elphaba waves her goodbyes to everyone. But wait, Glinda suddenly hands her a booklet about the Emerald City, like a travel brochure you'd get at a tourist spot. Then, in an unexpected twist, Glinda asks Elphaba to come along with her. So, they hop on the train together, heading to the Emerald City, where they're greeted like royalty. They meet the Wizard of Ounce, who goes on about how he created the Emerald City like it's his personal achievement. As a gift, he hands Elphaba a figurine of herself. Talk about a humble brag. Enter the Dean, who shows up to help Elphaba. She's then introduced to the Grimoire, basically the ancient magic book that every wizard and witch would keep under lock and key, except here, it's more like the forbidden library book you're not supposed to touch. Elphaba opens the book, and suddenly, the wizard introduces his guard. Wait for it, a flying monkey. Yeah, turns out the wizard's hobbies include watching birds fly. As Elphaba casually says the word bird, the page flips to some cryptic nonsense. The Dean explains that most people can't understand it, but Elphaba? She gets it. She starts chanting the words, and, whoops, suddenly, the monkey's wings start growing. The poor thing looks like it's in agony, and Elphaba's freaking out. She begs the Dean to fix it, but nope, once you cast a spell with this grimoire, it's stuck for life. Then comes the kicker: the wizard doesn't actually have real magic. Gasp! He and the Dean have been making up stories about animals being the enemy, just to keep everyone united against a common foe. Elphaba, feeling betrayed, storms off in a dramatic fashion. The Dean, of course, decides to use the flying monkeys to attack Elphaba, saying it's her fault the monkeys are in pain. Nice move, Dean! Meanwhile, Glinda tries to convince Elphaba to accept the wizard's offer, reminding her that this was her lifelong dream. But Elphaba's had enough. She's done with the lies. The Dean, being her usual dramatic self, tells everyone that a new green-skinned enemy is threatening the land. Guess who that is? In a fit of rage, Elphaba casts a spell, and, voila, summons a flying broomstick. Glinda, being a loyal friend, kinda, helps her put on a black robe, and Elphaba zooms off into the night, leaving Glinda behind.